go crazy, go crazy. No room for you to be lazy. Go crazy.
Hello, I'm Nancy Zepeda, the owner and founder of Crazy Games, and I am the crazy lady. So we do team building events with big inflatables. We also are a full service party rental company. So 16 years ago is when I started Crazy Games, and boy, that was a big time in my life. So I was a single mom with a little baby, and I decided, well, I gotta do something, either go back to school or get a full-time job. So I was back in school. I went for sports and recreation management and was doing that online. Did that, and I was actually living with my mom and dad at the time, and they supported me. I also got a job for one of the cities, City of Boynton Beach, and was working a full-time job and doing school. Oh my gosh, this is like emotional for me. I don't know why it's emotional for me. So when my son was little, I had to do something. I'm sure a lot of single moms are that way. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional, guys. But it brings back the reality of, where I was in my life. And it was kind of like that point of, what do I do? I have this child, and I was a single mom, and I really didn't know, what to do and the direction. Thank God I had a supportive family, and, when I told them about wanting to start Crazy Games, they motivated me and told me, yeah, why not try it? So I actually started Crazy Games through a program called Awana. It's kind of funny how it started. I actually was a volunteer Awana program leader at our church, and it was a program where, they would teach about, God, and then they would do games with kids. And I was like, this would be so awesome to have in the community, a program. So Crazy Games is actually a spin-off of Awana. It's a little bit different. A lot of the games I've created myself, and we've done a whole different type of setup than Awana. But my first event was through Royal Palm Beach Parks and Recreation. So I ended up going into the Parks and Recreation, which I learned that through college when I was doing my sports and recreation management degree. It was talking about how to make connections with the cities and Parks and Recreation, how you can do like contractual splits and work with them and use their facilities, and it was a lot more affordable than going and renting your own building to offer programs. So Royal Palm Beach Parks and Recreation was our first place that we did Crazy Games. We used a small little community park called Lindsay Ewing Park, and we started as a team on the weekends. So we had maybe 10 kids on the weekends, and when I think back of the stuff that we had, it was hardly anything. It was just like little obstacle courses and just like silly little games that we did with the kids, compared to what we have now. We have a lot of huge inflatables and things that make people say, wow, wow, that's amazing. But yeah, when I started Crazy Games, it was very small, and I never knew that it was going to grow to what it is today. I never knew I was going to be doing, over 300 events a year. And, just in the summer, we did 118 events, over 17,000 kids that we impacted and got active this summer in 2025. So it was really awesome. So there were a lot of challenges first starting off as a company called Crazy Games. We had to definitely create credibility. I remember calling some of the schools and daycares and, calling and say, hi, this name's a Crazy Games. And I remember the one lady yelling to the other lady in the background, hey, there's some crazy lady on the phone. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, that's not how I wanted this phone call to go. But, it took a lot of perseverance and commitment to, making goals for myself and saying, okay, I'm going to call, 10 people today, or I'm going to call, 30 people in the next couple days, so it's in making, yourself accountable for that. So whenever you want to achieve a goal, you really have to set it out on paper. I like to do paper. Some people will use their notes in their computer or in their phone, but you want to go back and look at those notes, at least every week, and just say, did I do the tasks that I set out to do, because time will go by and then you didn't accomplish anything. So definitely like time management is very important too, running a business of, making sure you're accountable to your time and you're not getting distracted, especially nowadays we have so many things like social media where you can get on there to post something for my company, and then all of a sudden now I'm scrolling and I'm wasting time. So it's really trying to make the most of your day and trying to push your company forward. So the first year was hardly anything. I think we did like $47,000 in sales. It was nothing, but for our first company, single mom, it was extra income that was able to subsidize some of my bills because I did work full time, for a city as a recreation supervisor. And that was a good job too. I learned a lot about dealing with customer service and, how the internal, system of parks and recreation and working in the cities works, which now has helped me to be able to get more contracts with the cities. But when I first started, I had to do a lot of free events. I had to do a lot of, jobs for the YMCA. I did a lot of free, huge events, and it was a lot of work. And I definitely, underpriced myself to be able to get my foot in the door. So it's almost like working for free for the first couple years. I didn't even pay myself a salary or anything. But I loved doing what I did, working with kids. And it was a lot of exercise in disguise. Like the original program that I started was a fitness program, and it was geared towards kids that didn't like traditional sports. So maybe like kids that didn't like football, baseball, soccer. I wanted to create a program that would really capture them and make them want to have fun and be active, but they didn't really realize it was like exercise in disguise. So a way to get them active, playing fun games, like one of our real popular games is called Gladiator. This one I came up with when I was going to sleep one night, and I'm thinking of, okay, I want to buy this huge 6-foot ball. What can I do with this 6-foot ball that's fun? And I'm the baby of the family. I like to always have fun. I'm, in my 40s now, but I still feel like I'm 17, and I just never have grown up. So the baby is always the fun one. Woohoo! And so I was like, let me take this huge 6-foot ball, and we're just going to push it back and forth, the two coaches, while the kids are running forward and backwards, and we're going to try to hit them with the ball, kind of like one of those huge blueberries like you see on, Willy Wonka when she blows up, something like that. So that's actually become one of our most popular games. We use it for 4 years old, teenagers, adults, and then what we do is, depending on the size of the kids, the ball gets bigger. So for the little kids, it's a 3-foot ball. The elementary age, it's a 5-foot ball, and then for the adults and teenagers, it's an 8-foot ball. So the 8-foot ball can definitely whack you, and we'll show you guys some footage of that on the podcast. That's one of our real popular games. But we like to have fun and get everybody going. We really try to motivate families to play together as well. A lot of the birthday parties we do and company picnics, we will get all those adults over, even though they're wanting to sit at the pavilion, we'll get them over and get them to play. And a lot of them have a good time. They have fun, and they don't really realize that they are burning calories, then they're exercising. So it's a good form of cardio. We usually do 1-hour programs, 1-hour events. But then some people, have a lot longer than 1 hour, where they're really to accommodate whatever need they have. So I know I got emotional earlier talking about, me starting this business as a single mom. But I want to motivate, people that might think they're stuck. If you feel like you're stuck, you're not stuck. Just make goals and keep yourself accountable. And, you don't have to go from, nothing to a $1 million company. It's going to take time to grow. But as long as you're consistent and you keep pushing yourself, you can make a path for yourself. Even if you work full time for someone else, do it on the side, do a little side gig, anything. If you really want to have a better life and bring more income in, there's so many different ways to create revenue, so don't give up. And, there's always someone out there that will help you, support you, you just have to reach out. Thank God I had a family that was my backbone and, supported me and was able to, help me, pay bills and all that kind of stuff while I was getting my business off the ground. But, get a partner, get someone that can help you, and team up with someone and make your goals a reality. And down the road, you'll be very thankful. So this is my cool cup. I had a crazy summer, and I had a crazy summer with over 118 events. It was definitely wild. So this is the second day back to school. Kids just got back to school, so I can kind of breathe a little bit. For me, we have a couple of weeks of a little slow time, but it's much needed. It's much needed because summer is a lot of work. We're loading trucks, and we had 51 staff. We had 51 coaches this summer, so it's a lot of logistics, a lot of communication, and it's a lot of fun, and it's rewarding. I love when I see, children exercising and playing and having fun, especially like, I know this is horrible to say, but I love seeing chubby kids playing crazy games. When I see them running and they don't realize they're burning calories, and they're off of their phones and they're not sitting down, that's why I started Crazy Games. I want to get kids active, and, eventually we'll probably do a Crazy Game show, which will have, kids on it and try to, show the beginning to end, their results, which would be a lot of fun. But yeah, I love what I do. I've always loved fitness. I started working out in 12th grade. I was probably the only one in gym class that would work out. Everybody else was just sitting on the ground. I'm like, why are you wasting your time? You could actually get in shape. But I have to say, I'm 44, and I still look, and I can still fit in my high school clothes. So that's why you work out and you stay active, so you can keep the physique and body that you had when you were young. It's important to definitely eat well. One thing I definitely want to talk about after I get a drink of water, I want to talk about nutrition for kids because, we hosted 2 different summer camps, and a lot of kids are really hungry. The parents aren't packing enough food in their lunch boxes, and then some of it's just not quality food. It's a lot of processed foods, chips, and, sugary drinks and stuff that, is not going to fuel your child. So my son, when he was in kindergarten, he was having a lot of behavioral issues. He was getting in trouble, and then he was just hungry. He was hungry, and so I wasn't feeding him enough. And so once I started giving him, better food, his behavior changed. Think of yourself when you are hungry. You're grumpy and you're irritable, and you just don't want to talk to anybody. So please, please, please pack good food for your kids. As I've gotten older, I've noticed nutrition, how it affects my body a lot more, definitely potassium. I'm very low potassium and magnesium. And a lot of people don't realize those things when you're younger, they don't affect you as much, but as you get older, those things really affect your nervous system and, your muscles. And if you have a lot of leg cramps, that's low potassium, low magnesium. So there's a lot of importance on nutrition. We learned in school, have a balanced diet, and you had the little food plate, the vegetables and the meat and the carbohydrates. But it goes way deeper than that because America's killing themselves. We're going to fast food because it's convenient. We're going to, McDonald's and Taco Bell and all these places because it's fast and we're feeding our kids. But we're why are these kids getting cancer? It's because they're not getting the nutrition and the quality food that they need. They need to have good food, juices, fresh juices. I know it costs more money, eating well, it does cost money. Whole Foods, Publix, all those groceries are a lot of money, But even if you are low income, the Palm Beach County Food Bank, you can sign up and you can get free food there. And they give you boxes of vegetables, really good food, and meats. So if you are low income, sign up for the food bank. A lot of churches as well, they give you, food and they have food pantries. So if you are struggling to put food on the table, just take that pride out the door and go get good quality food, vegetables for your kids. Because it's sad to see kids hungry. And a lot of times, we would go buy snacks, but, some of the parks and recreation, because of all the food allergies, they won't let us give snacks. So now those kids are there and they're, just miserable because they're real hungry. So please, please, please just think of nutrition for your kids. Also, now that it's back to school, we want to try to encourage families to be, active with their kids and be a leader. Be an example to your kids of fitness. If they see you, sitting on the couch after work, grabbing a bag of potato chips and just munching out, you are the example. You're teaching them that's how you are supposed to behave as an adult. So when you get home, put on your tennis shoes, get the kids, go to the park, do something fun, get them to do something active, put them in sports, even do, a fun game outside. And we have tons of games on our Instagram. You can also look at all the different games and modify them, like Gladiator. You could take a small ball, and have your kids going, 25 feet down and back, and while you guys are trying to throw the ball back at them. That's a game you could do at home. A lot of these games, hopper balls, those are just something you can buy at Walmart, Target. They're great leg exercise for your kids. They're going to work their quadriceps or hamstrings. So, I know it takes time to be intentional and think, okay, I need my son or my daughter to be active at least 30 minutes today, but if you create those environments for them to be active, children prefer to be active than to live a sedentary lifestyle. So if you have the right things at your home, hula hoops, hopper balls, little trampolines, all that kind of stuff that we liked as a kid, your kids are going to like it too. And they're not very much. Like hopper balls are what? $18 you can buy those. So I would definitely say those are a great thing for 3 years old to 8 years old, and you can do like little games with them. They even have big adult ones, so you can actually play with your kid and, bounce around and have fun. It's about creating memories too. And a lot of times, the kids, they bond with you through games and activities and fitness. I remember when I was a single mom, I would be, working out at home doing, abs at my house, and my son would just get on my chest and want to lay there, and I'm like, hey, I'm trying to work out right now. But it's cute, kids, they want that connection with their parents. So that's something we really try to, make happen during Crazy Games, especially like all of our big field day events with the, company picnics and birthday parties. We try to get, the parents playing with the kids and stuff. So creating healthy habits is so important, and that's what we really try to strive with Crazy Games, even with our summer camp. So what we do is daily competitions, and the kids actually are winning points every day for their teams. So say they make 100 points. On Friday, which, they are going to be competing all week, so on Friday we tally up the points, and then they get to use those points as like money. So we're trying to instill a positive reinforcement that, okay, there's a positive consequence to exercising. So that's something that would be like a lifelong lesson. Okay, so if a child is seeing, okay, I did this exercise and now I'm getting a gift, a present, it helps instill that foundation of, okay, I do this, I get that. And that's what we want to really teach kids, is there is a great outcome of being active. And also for parents, families, there's a positive outcome if you are intentional of getting your kids active every day, making it intentional to give them the right foods. They're going to have better performance in school. Also, making sure they're hydrated. They're going to perform better if they play other sports as well. So all those things of teaching your child the basics of health and fitness at an early age, that way it stimulates them to be like that as an adult, is very important. My parents weren't really the most active people, I'd have to say. My dad was pretty active, but my mom, after she had her kids, she just never got that weight off. It was a challenge for her, but my mom did always cook and make very good food and make sure that we did eat very well. But I think my love for fitness really started when I was in high school. And I, grew up playing tennis and, was very athletic. I was really like a tomboy. Pretty much all my friends were boys growing up. So I was always very active. You couldn't get me inside. I was always outside. Baseball. Funny story is there was this one boy, Johnny Wall, across the street. He didn't want me to play baseball with the kids. So I literally jumped on his back and put him in a chokehold and dropped him to the floor. And he ran to his mom and was like, I'm going to tell my mom. And I remember to this day hiding out in my closet, just waiting for my mom to come, hearing a knock on the door and saying, Nancy, Miss Cindy's here. And I was terrified about that. But hey, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be pushed around by anybody. If I want to play this sport, I'm playing this sport. And so I've like learned to be, I'm kind of an aggressive person, but I kind of have to be because I'm competing with a lot of men in this industry, especially in like inflatables and bounce house companies. And there's not really many women that run these type of companies. And, you know, it's a fun business, but it's a lot of work. I mean, I do have a very strong husband, which is amazing because sometimes these inflatables I cannot even pick up at all. So, you know, I'm not taking all the credit. It's definitely a team effort running a business and, you know, trying to impact a community in a positive way, you know, but I'm not just doing crazy games for the profit. You know, I'm doing crazy games because I love fitness, I love kids, and I love to get families active together, you know, and eventually we want to do more. You know, we had an indoor playground. We opened up literally like 5 months before COVID, and then COVID came and killed us. So that's our goal, is go back into that industry and open another playground again. Hopefully COVID never comes back, right? We don't want anything like that. So we will eventually go that route again and have some fitness centers for kids with a gym and get the community to be able to come to us, because right now we're mobile. We always go to the customers. So it's a lot of work, you know, logistic wise. So we're pretty much through Palm Beach County, all the way from, you know, Jupiter to Boca is our main territory. But we do service a lot of Broward County and some in Miami as well. But we try to stay more local. We like our local people just because it's close and easy. We do a lot of community events. You know, we love seeing all the people out there for like 4th of July events and, you know, some of the big, you know, back to school bashes, which we've been doing this week. We did a lot of back to school pool parties, and it's kind of fun. We started doing a new crazy game show type of experience. So we do kind of like stage style games, you know, and the coaches have microphones on, and we had some, you know, belly flop contest and, you know, water gun wars with the kids getting water from the pool and shooting the other kids with vests. So we have a lot of fun. The people love the event, and it's great. She wanted to do a nice Google review for us, so we love that. If you liked crazy games, give us a Google review also. We would love that. Like and share our Facebook page and our Instagram. We would love that, because the more kids and families we can impact and get them healthy, the better. And we just are crazy about fun. We are the crazy people that work in the 100-degree weather during the summer and support summer camps. Like I said, we serviced over 118 summer camps this summer. So a lot of the counselors love it because they're not the ones out there, you know, in the heat, filling up the buckets with water and setting up the field days. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And we're glad to be able to work for big organizations like the YMCAs, and Boys and Girls Club is a huge customer of ours. We do a lot of work for Boys and Girls Club. Palm Beach County Schools, we did a lot of events for Palm Beach County Schools, and you know, those are big events. Those are 200, 300 kids at a time. So it's definitely, you know, something that we have to definitely structure and plan to make sure everything's very organized. And we also offer, you know, free game planning. So someone says, hey, you know, I have 500 kids. What do you suggest? We'll actually sit down with them and, you know, make a whole game plan for them, no extra charge, and suggest like the most popular games that are age appropriate for, you know, kindergarten through 2nd or 3rd through 5th. And so we make all the guesswork, we take all the guesswork out for you. We make it very simple, and we'll try to help you. You make your event successful, and you know, where people have a great time and everything's organized. Because planning events can be stressful. It can be a lot of work. So I actually used to run events for the city of Boynton Beach. That's why I have a lot of background in, you know, doing the floor plans and, you know, all the logistics of an event. But I love it. It's a lot of fun. One thing with doing outdoor events is the weather. You never know the weather. Just one second. The weather can be a huge factor in not knowing if rain or shine. So we love when events are rain or shine. We're still out there Our coaches are hardcore. They'll be out there in, crazy wind with the balls flying all around. We actually had one event. Thank God it wasn't our bounce house, but the bounce house started flying in the air, and the coaches jumped on it, and that wasn't helping. It was still going to go up in the air. So we've seen a lot. We've seen a lot of things that can go wrong with events, and we're there to make sure that everything stays safe. And be those extra eyes. I also actually have a background in crowd management. So I have certifications. I'm not just running a company. Like I said, I have a sports management degree, have a kindergarten through 12th grade physical education certificate, crowd management, also was a certified parks professional through Florida Recreation Parks Association. So I have a background definitely in athletics, was a tennis coach, intramural director, and I would love to play more tennis personally. I love tennis. And I've noticed that's actually a sport that is going away. We did a show of hands at our camp of, how many kids played soccer, how many kids played baseball, how many kids played tennis. And I was so sad. We had no kids that played tennis out of 41 kids. And I'm like, no! Soccer's huge though in Florida. Soccer was a big, big sport. But kudos to all the families that have their kids doing soccer, because that's a great sport. A lot of running, a lot of cardio, vascular health in that. Swimming is also definitely recommended. Love to recommend swimming for families because it's refreshing and cool, and it helps with stretching and muscle endurance, muscle strength. So it's a great sport. So guys, I just wanted you guys to get to know me a little bit, and I know I'm always behind the camera doing my live videos, but today I'm in front of the camera with you, and I just want to say that you guys are awesome. Thanks for your support, and I can't wait to get crazy with you guys.
There's no skipping class, only running like an honor roll. Geronimo, horse derby race like a rodeo. Hop, hop.